Hey everybody, welcome back to Build a Website from Scratch with HTML and CSS. This video is called Class Selectors. In this lecture, we're going to learn about using the class selectors in CSS. Previously, we learned about the ID selectors, and in this video, we are going to learn about class selectors, what that means, and how we can use them to make awesome websites. In your code editor, create a new file called class-selectors.html. And in that file, give your doc type, your basic page structure, the title of class selectors, and link your CSS file, your styles.css, right here in the head. All right, in the body tag, let's start by coding a little bit of HTML. Let's add a few divs. And let's just put some content in these divs. All right, so this is just basic and will look very plain and boring. You see that we have some styles here because we're hooking our style sheet, and it has some basic styles already on there, like the font family and the background color and the color of the text. But we're going to do more here. So let's add a couple more of these divs, 3 more to be specific. And every second div, change this to secondary box. So now if I save that and check that out, you'll see I have 4 of these things. They'll say primary box, primary, and secondary box. It's very hard to differentiate between what the primary boxes and the secondary boxes are because they all have the same styles and they look the same, and it really doesn't have any visual meaning to me. Semantically, maybe it makes sense, but I can't see it. So that's where we use CSS to give a little bit more meaning to the site by making it visually a little bit more clear. So we're going to use classes in this case because there are more than one primary box and there is more than one secondary box, and we want the primary boxes to look the same and the secondary boxes to look the same. And we do that by adding some classes. So let's give this the class of primary-box, copy that class and paste it on the other primary box div. And then on the secondary box, let's give that the class of secondary box. Copy that and paste it on the other one. Now if I were to save this and check this out in the browser, nothing would change. All I've done is added some classes to the divs, and the classes are currently not hooked up in CSS to do anything. So that's where we're going to do something about it. Let's go to our CSS. All right, so add the class of primary box. This is how you select a class in CSS. That's a class selector. Like this is an ID selector, this is a class selector. There's the period or the dot and then the name of the class. This has a little hash mark and then the name of the ID. This is what a class looks like in CSS. And let's give all the primary boxes the background color of 222, which is like a dark gray. Save that, check that out in your browser. You'll see a difference immediately. So primary box, both of these primary boxes got the style of the background of 222. And so let's take that a bit further. Let's say the color. I want the text color to be EEE, which is just off white. We want the font size to be 24 pixels because right now it's way too big. And let's save that. Let's check that out. So there we go. We've added some more styles. So now let's do the secondary box in CSS. Secondary-box, and let's say background is going to be alternate of what the primary box is. So EEE, the color will be 222. The font size will also be 24 pixels. Save that. Let's check it out. So there's the primary box, the secondary box. So you could see how classes work. I only declared primary box once in the CSS, and every div that had the class of primary box got those styles. So you can see how that could be a benefit to you when you're coding your CSS. Same with the secondary box here. Now there's one quick thing I want to do. This is kind of a little bit outside of the scope of class selectors, but it's kind of more of a global selector. At the top of your CSS, put the little star or asterisk thing, and then put the curly braces. So you're just selecting this, and you're probably wondering what that means. And what that means literally is everything. Everything that's rendering in the browser, all the HTML, then add your styles. So I just want to give everything the margin of 0 and the padding of 0. So every element will have margin 0, padding 0, and you'll see an immediate change here. So everything's kind of packed up at the top here. There's no margins, padding. It's all kind of stuck up at the top there. Before it looked like this, if you want to see what it looked like. See how the space in between, but I want to be able to declare that myself. This is the browser defaults, and I want to do that myself. So margin 0, padding 0. Primary box, I want to have the margin of 0 on the top, 0 on the right, 10 on the bottom. And if I leave that, that means when I declare 3 numbers here, 3 values, this is top, this is right and left, and this is bottom. So I'm going to do the same for secondary box and say margin 0, 0, 10, which is 0 on the top, 0 on the right and left, and 10 on the bottom. Save that. Let's check it out. So you have some margin here. It's adding some margin after the boxes. Now let's add some padding within the box. So padding, 10 pixels. I'm declaring one value. That means all sides, top, right, bottom, and left, all have the same value, which is 10 pixels in this case. There you go. So now it's just got a bit more breathing room. So that is everything for class selectors we're going to do right now. We'll obviously do more in further lectures once we get deeper and deeper into CSS and making awesome looking websites. So we'll see you in the next lecture.